Are we alone in the universe? Look up at the stars. Countless points of light scattered across the night sky, each a sun, perhaps with planets orbiting, perhaps with life, perhaps with minds that wonder, just like yours. Are we alone in the universe? Is Earth the only cradle of consciousness, the only world where life emerged, the only planet where beings look up and ask the same question? Or are we part of a vast cosmic community, isolated only by distance and time, connected by curiosity and existence? This question is as ancient as humanity itself, echoing through myths, religions, philosophies, and sciences. It is a question of existence, of life, of meaning. It asks whether humanity is unique, special, alone, or merely one of many, a single note in the symphony of the cosmos. Science and astronomy seek to answer this question through observation and evidence. The Drake equation, proposed by Frank Drake in 1961, estimates the number of civilizations in our galaxy with which we might communicate. It considers factors such as the rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, the number of habitable planets, the emergence of life, the development of intelligence, and the longevity of civilizations. But the equation is filled with uncertainty, with variables we do not know, with probabilities we can only guess. We do not know how common Earth-like planets are, how easily life emerges, how frequently intelligence evolves, how long civilizations survive. We do not know if consciousness is rare or inevitable, if intelligence is a fluke or a destiny, if communication is possible or forbidden. The Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, challenges the assumption of a populated cosmos. It asks, if intelligent civilizations are common, then where are they? Why do we see no evidence of their existence? No signals, no probes, no signs of technology. If the universe is vast and ancient, then why is it so silent? Some suggest the rare Earth hypothesis, which argues that Earth is unique, that the combination of conditions necessary for complex life is extraordinarily rare. In this view, intelligent life is not merely unlikely, but exceptional, a cosmic accident, a singular occurrence. If Earth is unique, then we are truly alone, an isolated consciousness in an indifferent cosmos. Others propose the Great Filter hypothesis, which suggests that some barrier prevents civilizations from reaching the stars. This filter could occur at any stage. Perhaps life is rare, intelligence unlikely, technological civilization fragile. It could be behind us, making humanity exceptional, or ahead of us, making our future uncertain, our survival improbable. Then there is the possibility of the zoo hypothesis, which suggests that advanced civilizations observe us without interference, like animals in a cosmic zoo. In this view, humanity is protected or isolated, watched but not contacted, studied but not influenced. Others speculate about the simulation hypothesis, which argues that reality itself is a simulation, a virtual universe created by advanced beings. If this is true, then other civilizations may exist outside the simulation, or they may be simulated themselves, artificial minds in an artificial cosmos. But if we are alone, then why does the universe exist? Why is there a cosmos so vast, so ancient, so complex, only to produce a single conscious species on a small blue planet? If existence is unique, then is it meaningful? If life is rare, then is it special? If we are alone, then is the universe a stage built for us, or an empty arena, indifferent to our presence? This question also touches on existentialism, which asks about meaning in an indifferent cosmos. If we are alone, then are we insignificant, isolated in a purposeless void? But if other civilizations exist, then are we merely one of many, a common occurrence, a trivial consciousness in a crowded cosmos? And then, there is the existential dimension. If we are alone, then we carry the weight of consciousness, the responsibility of existence, the burden of awareness. We are the universe observing itself, the cosmos becoming conscious. But if we are not alone, then we are part of a greater story, a cosmic community, a shared existence. In the end, you look up at the night sky, the stars distant and silent, the galaxies swirling in the void. The question echoing in your mind, are we alone in the universe? And perhaps the answer is not in the stars, or the telescopes, or the equations, or the signals, but in the curiosity that asks, in the hope that listens, in the wonder that dreams of worlds beyond our own. A cosmos, a consciousness, a question, a possibility, forever observed, forever imagined, forever unknown. Are we truly free? Imagine standing at a crossroads, the paths stretching into the distance, each leading to a different future. You feel the weight of choice upon you, the power to decide, the freedom to shape your destiny. But then, a question arises, a question that shatters the illusion of control. Are we truly free? Do we really make choices? Or are our actions determined by causes beyond our control? Is free will an illusion, a trick played by the mind, a story we tell ourselves to feel in control? This question cuts to the core of human existence, challenging our understanding of choice, responsibility, morality, and identity. It asks whether we are agents of our own destiny, or merely actors playing predetermined roles, guided by the script of causality. In everyday life, we feel free. We decide what to eat, where to go, whom to love, what to believe. We make choices, take actions, bear consequences. We live as if our will is our own, as if our decisions matter, as if our lives are self-directed. Yet, are we truly free? Determinism argues that we are not. It claims that every action, every thought, every choice is the result of prior causes, stretching back to the beginning of time. In this view, the universe is a chain of cause and effect, a web of interactions governed by natural laws. If all events are caused, then human actions are no exception. Our decisions are determined by our genetics, our environment, our experiences, our biology. Free will in this view is an illusion, a byproduct of complexity, a narrative created by the brain. Pierre-Simon Laplace imagined a hypothetical intellect, later called Laplace's demon, that could know the position and momentum of every particle in the universe. If such an intellect existed, it could predict the future with absolute certainty, for everything would be determined by prior states. In this view, there is no freedom, no choice, no uncertainty, only inevitability. But if determinism is true, then are we responsible for our actions? If every decision is caused by prior events, then how can we be blamed or praised for choices we did not truly make? If free will is an illusion, then is morality meaningless, justice unfair, punishment unjust? This paradox challenges the foundations of moral responsibility, questioning whether praise and blame, reward and punishment, virtue and vice, have any meaning. If actions are determined, then guilt is an accident, heroism a coincidence, love a chemical reaction. Compatibilism offers a middle ground, arguing that free will and determinism can coexist. It claims that freedom is not the absence of cause, but the ability to act according to one's desires and intentions. In this view, free will is not about being uncaused, but about acting without coercion. You are free if you do what you want, even if what you want is determined by prior causes. But critics argue that compatibilism merely redefines free will, avoiding the deeper question. If desires are determined, then is choice truly free? If actions follow inevitably from beliefs and desires, then is freedom merely the feeling of choice, not the reality of it? Libertarianism, in the philosophical sense, not the political, argues that free will is real and incompatible with determinism. It claims that human beings are agents, capable of initiating actions, breaking the chain of cause and effect. In this view, choices are not determined but created, acts of self-determination, expressions of will. But this raises another question. If actions are uncaused, then are they random? If choices are not determined by prior events, then what causes them? If will is free, then is it arbitrary? If freedom means acting without cause, then is it not merely chaos, unpredictability, irrationality? This question also touches on quantum mechanics, where events at the subatomic level are probabilistic, not deterministic. Some argue that quantum indeterminacy allows for free will, as not all events are predetermined, but randomness is not freedom. If choices are probabilistic, then they are not truly free, but merely uncertain. Neuroscience also challenges free will. Experiments by Benjamin Libet and others show that brain activity precedes conscious decisions, suggesting that actions are initiated unconsciously before we are aware of them. If the brain decides before the mind, then is free will an illusion? Is consciousness merely the witness of decisions already made? But if free will is an illusion, then why do we feel free? Why do we experience choice, regret, responsibility? Why do we make decisions, plan futures, create meaning? Why do we act as if our will shapes the world? This paradox challenges the nature of consciousness and selfhood, questioning whether the self is an agent or an observer, a creator or a creation. If actions are determined, then is identity merely a narrative, a story the brain tells itself? If choices are inevitable, then is the self merely a role, a character, playing out a script? And then, there is the existential dimension. If free will is an illusion, then life is a movie, and we are actors following a script. But if free will exists, then we are authors, writing our own story, shaping. Which is more terrifying, to be a puppet of causality, or to be the creator of meaning? In the end, you stand at the crossroads, the path stretching before you, the question echoing in your mind. Are you free to choose, or is your choice the inevitable result of everything that came before? Is freedom real, or an illusion? Is will creative or determined? You take a step, left or right, a choice made, or a destiny fulfilled, a question, forever unanswered, forever chosen, a choice, a will, a freedom, a paradox, forever free, or never free at all. What is consciousness? Close your eyes and become aware of your own awareness. Feel your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations. You are not merely observing the world, you are experiencing it. You are conscious. But then, a question arises, a question so profound that it defies explanation. What is consciousness? What is this mysterious awareness that allows you to perceive, to feel, to think? Is it merely a function of the brain, a product of neural activity, or is it something deeper, more fundamental, woven into the fabric of existence itself? This question lies at the heart of philosophy, science, and spirituality. It challenges our understanding of mind and matter, of self and reality, of existence and being. It asks what it means to be aware, to experience, to exist. In everyday life, consciousness feels familiar, intimate, personal. It is the world as you experience it, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, the thoughts you think, the emotions you feel. It is the inner movie of your life, the story unfolding in your mind. But where does it come from? What creates this awareness? Why is there something it is like to be you? Materialism argues that consciousness is a product of the brain, a result of neural processes, electrical impulses, and chemical reactions. In this view, awareness arises from complexity, from the interactions of neurons, from the information processed by the brain. Consciousness is an emergent property, a function of the physical, a byproduct of biology. But this leads to the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers. The hard problem asks, why is there subjective experience? Why does neural activity feel like something? Why is there a first-person perspective, an inner world, a self that experiences? If the brain is merely matter, then why is there awareness? Why is there not merely processing but feeling? Why is pain not merely neural activity, but suffering? Why is music not merely sound waves but beauty? Why is love not merely hormones but meaning? This paradox challenges physicalism, the view that everything is physical, that consciousness is reducible to brain activity. It reveals the gap between objective observation and subjective experience, between third-person science and first-person awareness. Some turn to functionalism, the view that consciousness arises from information processing, from the functions performed by the brain. In this view, it is not the matter that matters but the patterns, the computation, the structure. Consciousness is a process, a flow of information, a network of relations. But if consciousness is computation, then could a machine be conscious? If the right patterns are created, if the right functions are performed, then would artificial intelligence experience awareness? If the mind is a program, then could consciousness be uploaded, transferred, simulated? This leads to the Chinese room argument, proposed by philosopher John Searle, which challenges the idea that computation equals consciousness. In this thought experiment, a person in a room follows instructions to manipulate Chinese symbols without understanding their meaning. From the outside, it appears that the person understands Chinese, but internally, there is no awareness, no understanding, only symbol manipulation. Searle argues that computation alone is insufficient for consciousness, that syntax is not semantics, that information processing is not experience. But this raises another question: what is necessary for consciousness? If not computation, then what? If not matter, then what? Some turn to dualism, the view that consciousness is non-physical, that it is a separate substance, a soul, a spirit, an entity beyond the body. René Descartes argued that mind and matter are distinct, that thought is immaterial, that consciousness is a non-physical substance interacting with the physical brain. But if consciousness is non-physical, then how does it interact with the physical? If the mind is separate from the body, then how do thoughts cause actions? If awareness is beyond matter, then how does it emerge from the brain? Others explore panpsychism, the view that consciousness is fundamental, that it is a property of all matter, that awareness is woven into the fabric of reality. In this view, even particles have a form of proto-consciousness, a primitive awareness. Consciousness is not created, but combined, not emergent but intrinsic. But if everything is conscious, then why is human awareness so complex? If particles are aware, then why is there not merely sensation but thought? If consciousness is fundamental, then is the universe itself aware? Is reality a mind, a dream, an experience? This question also touches on idealism, the view that consciousness is the only reality, that the physical world is an illusion, a construct of awareness. George Berkeley argued that existence is perception, that objects exist only as they are perceived, that reality is a mental experience. But if all is mind, then what is matter? If perception is the only reality, then is the world merely a dream? And then, there is the existential dimension. If consciousness is an illusion, then who is the experiencer? If awareness is a process, then who is the self? If identity is a narrative, then who is the author? If the mind is a program, then who is the user? In the end, you feel your own awareness, your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, the experience of being. What is consciousness? Is it the product of the brain, the function of a pattern, the essence of the soul, the foundation of reality? You open your eyes, the world vivid, solid, real, but is it truly out there, or is it within? Is reality perceived or created? Is the self an experiencer, or an experience? And perhaps, the answer is not in the neurons, or the patterns, or the spirits, or the perceptions, but in the awareness itself, in the question that asks, in the experience that is in the consciousness that wonders about itself. An awareness, an experiencer, a question, a mystery, forever conscious, forever unknown. Is knowledge possible? Close your eyes and reflect on what you know. Facts, beliefs, experiences, memories, they form the tapestry of your understanding, the foundation of your identity. But then, a question arises, a question that shakes the certainty of knowing. Is knowledge possible? Can we truly know anything? Or is certainty an illusion? Belief, a construction? Perception, a deception? This question challenges the foundations of knowledge, truth, and belief. It asks whether knowledge is absolute or relative, certain or doubtful, objective or subjective. It explores the boundaries of understanding, the nature of truth, the possibility of certainty. Epistemology, the study of knowledge, begins with Plato's definition, justified true belief. In this view, knowledge is a belief that is true and justified, supported by evidence and reason. But this definition is challenged by the Gettier problem, which shows that justified true belief can be accidentally true, leading to knowledge that is coincidental, accidental, unreliable. This raises the question, what justifies belief? Is evidence enough, or is certainty required? If justification is relative, then is knowledge subjective? If evidence is incomplete, then is belief provisional? If certainty is impossible, then is knowledge mere opinion? Rationalism argues that knowledge comes from reason, logic, and deduction. In this view, the mind can discover truths through thought alone, without reliance on experience. René Descartes declared cogito, ergo sum, I think therefore I am, as an indubitable truth, a foundation of certainty. But this leads to Cartesian skepticism, the doubt of all knowledge, the questioning of all beliefs, the possibility that everything is an illusion, a deception, a dream. Empiricism argues that knowledge comes from experience, observation, and perception. In this view, the senses provide evidence, the mind organizes information, and knowledge is grounded in experience. John Locke described the mind as a tabula rasa, a blank slate shaped by sensation and reflection. But this raises another question, can perception be trusted? If the senses deceive, then is knowledge uncertain? If experience is subjective, then is truth relative? If perception is interpretation, then is reality constructed? This question also touches on skepticism, the philosophical position that knowledge is impossible. Pyrrho of Elis doubted all beliefs, suspending judgment, embracing uncertainty. David Hume argued that induction, the process of reasoning from the past to the future, is unjustified, that cause and effect are habits of thought, not truths of reality. In this view, knowledge is provisional, belief is uncertain, truth is unknowable. But if knowledge is impossible, then how can we live? If certainty is an illusion, then is reason unreliable, perception deceptive, belief meaningless. If truth is unknowable, then is understanding an illusion, meaning arbitrary, existence absurd. Others propose pragmatism, which suggests that knowledge is not absolute but functional, not certain but useful. In this view, truth is what works, what solves problems, what guides action. William James argued that beliefs are true if they are practical, meaningful, effective. John Dewey claimed that knowledge is a tool for problem solving, a method of inquiry, a way of navigating reality. But if truth is utility, then is reality merely instrumental? If knowledge is practical, then is meaning subjective, value relative, purpose functional? If belief is useful, then is truth convenient, understanding adaptive, reality flexible? Constructivism argues that knowledge is constructed by the mind, shaped by experience, influenced by context. In this view, truth is not discovered but created, not objective, but subjective, not universal but contextual. Jean Piaget claimed that knowledge is a process of construction, an interaction between the individual and the environment. Thomas Kuhn argued that scientific knowledge is shaped by paradigms, worldviews, and social contexts. But if knowledge is constructed, then is truth relative. If reality is interpreted, then is understanding subjective. If belief is contextual, then is meaning fragmented, truth plural, existence perspectival. Postmodernism takes this further, rejecting absolute truths, questioning grand narratives, deconstructing knowledge as a construct of power, language, and culture. Michel Foucault argued that knowledge is shaped by power, that truth is a social construct, that understanding is a discourse. In this view, knowledge is political, truth is relative, reality is linguistic. But if all truths are relative, then is anything truly real? If knowledge is power, then is belief manipulation, understanding control, meaning domination? If reality is constructed, then is existence a narrative, identity a fiction, being a story? And then, there is the existential dimension. If knowledge is certain, then truth is absolute, reality fixed, understanding universal. But if knowledge is uncertain, then truth is fluid, reality subjective, existence ambiguous. Which is more terrifying? A world of fixed truths, unchanging and rigid, or a reality of relative meanings, shifting and uncertain, an existence of absolute knowledge, or a life of endless questioning. In the end, you reflect on what you know, the beliefs, the experiences, the memories, the question echoing in your mind, is knowledge possible? And perhaps, the answer is not in the reason, or the perception, or the beliefs, or the doubts, but in the quest for understanding, in the search for truth, in the experience of knowing, in the awareness of not knowing, in the mystery of knowledge, a truth, a belief, a certainty, a question, forever doubted, forever questioned, forever known, or perhaps never known at all. Do numbers and mathematics exist independently? Close your eyes and imagine the numbers 1, 2, 3, infinite sequences stretching into eternity, equations that balance, patterns that repeat, symmetries that unfold. Do numbers and mathematics exist independently? Are they discovered, existing eternally beyond space and time? Or are they invented, creations of the human mind, tools for understanding the world? This question challenges our understanding of existence, reality, and abstraction. It asks whether mathematics is a universal truth or a human construct, an eternal language or a mental model, an independent reality or a product of thought. Platonism argues that numbers and mathematical objects exist independently of human thought, as abstract entities in an eternal realm of forms. In this view, mathematics is discovered, not invented, revealing truths that are timeless, universal, and objective. Plato described a world of ideal forms, where numbers, shapes, and equations exist perfectly, beyond space and time. Kurt Gödel believed in this Platonic realm, arguing that mathematical truths are objective realities, existing regardless of human knowledge. But if numbers exist independently, then where are they? If equations are eternal, then where do they reside? If mathematical truths are objective, then who perceives them? If reality is mathematical, then is existence a structure, being a form, consciousness an equation? If numbers are real, then are they physical entities, metaphysical forms, or abstract concepts? Mathematical realism extends this idea, arguing that mathematics is the language of reality, the code of existence, the structure of the cosmos. Galileo Galilei declared that the universe is written in the language of mathematics, that nature is a book of numbers, that reality is governed by equations. Max Tegmark proposed the mathematical universe hypothesis, suggesting that all physical structures are mathematical structures, that reality is a mathematical object, that existence is a theorem. But if reality is mathematical, then is existence abstract? If the universe is an equation, then is consciousness a computation? If being is numerical, then is identity a value, meaning a variable, purpose a function? If existence is a theorem, then is reality logical, life formulaic, experience algebraic? Others propose formalism, which argues that mathematics is a system of symbols, rules, and operations, created by humans for logical consistency and practical application. In this view, numbers are not objects, but symbols. Equations are not truths, but statements. Mathematics is not discovered but invented. David Hilbert claimed that mathematics is a formal game, governed by axioms and rules, independent of interpretation or meaning. But if mathematics is a game, then is truth arbitrary? If equations are symbolic, then is knowledge conventional? If numbers are invented, then is reality constructed? If logic is formal, then is meaning relative, understanding contextual, truth subjective? Constructivism argues that mathematical objects are created by the mind, existing only through mental construction, perception, and cognition. In this view, numbers are conceptual tools, abstractions created to understand quantity, order, and relation. Illy J. Brouwer, the founder of intuitionism, argued that mathematics is a mental activity, an intuition of time, a construction of consciousness. In this view, numbers are not external entities, but internal experiences, subjective realities, conceptual creations. But if mathematics is mental, then is it personal? If numbers are experiences, then is truth relative. If equations are constructed, then is reality subjective. If perception shapes mathematics, then is existence cognitive, knowledge perspectival, meaning imaginative. Logicism suggests that mathematics is reducible to logic, that numbers are logical constructs, that equations are propositions. Gottlob Frege and Bertrand Russell argued that mathematics is an extension of logic, that numbers are defined by relations, that equations are statements about logical structures. In this view, mathematics is not empirical, but analytical, not experiential, but deductive, not contingent but necessary. But if mathematics is logic, then is reality rational. If numbers are relations, then is existence structural. If equations are propositions, then is truth formal. If logic is necessary, then is freedom illusory, choice deterministic, being inevitable. This question also touches on philosophy of language, exploring whether mathematical statements are true because of their correspondence to reality, or because of their internal consistency. Ludwig Wittgenstein argued that mathematical truths are tautologies, statements that are true by definition, independent of reality. In this view, mathematics is a language game, governed by rules, shaped by usage, contextualized by meaning. But if mathematics is a language, then is truth semantic. If numbers are words, then is meaning linguistic. If equations are statements, then is reality narrative. If language shapes knowledge, then is existence symbolic, being grammatical, understanding metaphorical. And then, there is the existential dimension. If mathematics exists independently, then reality is objective, truth absolute, existence structured. But if numbers are invented, then knowledge is subjective, truth relative, being constructed. Which is more terrifying? A universe governed by abstract equations, indifferent and deterministic, or a reality created by human thought, fragile and ephemeral, an existence structured by logic, or a life shaped by perception. In the end, you imagine the numbers, the equations, the patterns, the symmetries, the question echoing in your mind, do numbers and mathematics exist independently? And perhaps, the answer is not in the forms, or the symbols, or the logic, or the cognition, but in the mind that wonders, the consciousness that questions, the awareness that seeks the reality, that experiences, the mathematics that is. A number, an equation, a truth, a question, forever calculated, forever understood, forever existing, or perhaps never existing at all. What is the meaning of life? Look up at the night sky, a vast expanse of stars, galaxies swirling in the darkness, light traveling across unimaginable distances. In this cosmic ocean, on a small blue planet, you find yourself conscious, aware, questioning. What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? What is our purpose? Does existence have a reason, or is it merely an accident of the universe? This question is as old as humanity itself, echoing through the ages, whispered by philosophers, poets, prophets, and dreamers. It haunts our thoughts, shapes our choices, defines our existence. But the answer remains elusive, slipping through the grasp of reason, hiding in the shadows of mystery. Some say the meaning of life is to seek happiness, to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. This view, known as hedonism, argues that life's purpose is to experience joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment. But happiness is fleeting, a momentary sensation that fades with time. If life's purpose is happiness, then why does suffering exist? Why is pain inevitable? Can meaning be found in struggle, in hardship, in sorrow? Others seek meaning in virtue, in moral goodness, and ethical living. This view, championed by Aristotle, argues that life's purpose is to achieve eudaimonia, a state of flourishing through virtuous actions, wisdom, and character. But what is virtue? What is goodness? Is morality universal, or is it shaped by culture, history, and experience? Some turn to religion for answers, seeking purpose in a higher power, in divine will, in spiritual transcendence. They find meaning in worship, in faith, in the promise of an afterlife. But if meaning comes from a deity, then why is existence filled with uncertainty, doubt, and suffering? Why do different religions offer conflicting answers? If purpose is given, then is life merely a test, a journey towards salvation, a path toward destiny? Others look to existentialism, the philosophy of existence and freedom. Existentialists argue that life has no inherent meaning, that the universe is indifferent, that purpose is not given, but created. In this view, meaning is an act of will, a choice, a creation of the self. Jean-Paul Sartre claimed that existence precedes essence, that we are born without purpose, and must define ourselves through actions and choices. But this freedom is terrifying. If there is no inherent meaning, then life is absurd, a void of purpose. This is the view of nihilism, the belief that life is meaningless, that values are illusions, that existence is a cosmic accident. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of the abyss, the existential void that confronts those who reject all beliefs, all values, all meaning. Yet, he urged us to create our own values, to become the Übermensch, the creator of meaning in a meaningless world. Then there is the perspective of humanism, which finds meaning in human relationships, love, compassion, creativity, and community. In this view, purpose is found in connection, in helping others, in contributing to society. Meaning is not cosmic but human, not eternal but temporal, not given but shared. Some look to science for answers, finding purpose in exploration, discovery, and knowledge. In this view, life's meaning is to understand the universe, to uncover its mysteries, to seek truth through reason and evidence. But science reveals a vast indifferent cosmos, governed by laws of physics, devoid of intention. If the universe is purposeless, then is meaning merely an illusion, a byproduct of consciousness? The question also touches on death and mortality. If life is finite, if existence ends in death, then does it have meaning? If consciousness ceases, if memory fades, if identity dissolves, then what is the purpose of living? If death is inevitable, then is life a brief spark in an uncaring cosmos, a fleeting moment of awareness lost to eternity? Yet, we seek meaning. We create stories, beliefs, religions, philosophies, art, and dreams. We live as if purpose exists, as if actions matter, as if life is significant. We love, we hope, we strive, we endure. We find meaning in the smile of a child, the embrace of a lover, the beauty of a sunset, the joy of creation. The question, what is the meaning of life, challenges the foundations of existence, the purpose of being, the essence of reality. It reveals the fragility of belief, the ambiguity of purpose, the mystery of consciousness. But perhaps, the answer is not a grand cosmic purpose, but the meaning we create in our lives. Perhaps meaning is found in the journey, in the experience, in the love we share, in the dreams we pursue. Perhaps life's purpose is not a destination, but a path, not an answer, but a question. In the end, you look up at the night sky, the stars shining in the darkness, the universe vast and silent, and you feel the question echoing within you. What is the meaning of life? And perhaps, the meaning is not in the stars, or the gods, or the cosmos, but in the heart that asks, in the mind that wonders, in the soul that seeks. A question, a purpose, a life, a journey, forever asked, forever lived. Do we live in a multiverse? Imagine standing at a crossroads choosing one path over another. In this world you continue down that road, experiencing the consequences of that choice. But what if, in another reality you chose differently? Do we live in a multiverse? Are there infinite versions of you, each living a different life, each experiencing a different reality, each existing in a parallel universe? This question challenges our understanding of reality, possibility, and identity. It asks whether existence is singular or plural, whether reality is unique or multiform, whether the universe is all that is, or merely one of countless worlds. Modern physics suggests that a multiverse might exist, that our universe is not the only one, that reality is not singular but plural. The idea of a multiverse arises from several theories, each proposing a different version of parallel worlds. One possibility is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett III. According to this theory, Every quantum event creates a branching of the universe, a splitting of reality into multiple outcomes. If you flip a coin, the universe splits into two, one where the coin lands heads, another where it lands tails. Every decision, every action, every possibility is realized in a parallel world. In this view, there are infinite versions of you, each living a different life, each experiencing a different reality. But if the multiverse is real, then what is identity? If there are infinite versions of you, then who are you? If every choice creates a new world, then is the self fragmented, divided, multiplied? If every possibility is realized, then is free will an illusion, destiny predetermined, choice meaningless? Another possibility comes from cosmic inflation, a theory that suggests that the universe expanded rapidly after the Big Bang, creating separate regions of space-time. In this view, the cosmos is a bubble multiverse, where each bubble is a separate universe with its own physical laws and constants. Our universe is merely one bubble in an ocean of bubbles, each a separate cosmos, each a unique reality. But if the bubble multiverse is real, then why is our universe fine-tuned for life? If each bubble has different laws, then our most universe is lifeless, barren, hostile. If existence is multiversal, then is life an accident, a fluke, a rare occurrence in a sea of possibilities? If the multiverse is infinite, then are there other Earths, other civilizations, other minds asking the same question? Then there is the brain multiverse proposed by string theory, which suggests that our universe is a three-dimensional membrane, floating in a higher dimensional space. In this view, there are other brains, other universes existing parallel to ours, separated by higher dimensions. If the brains collide, they create new universes, new realities, new existences. But if the brain multiverse is real, then what is space? If other universes exist in higher dimensions, then where are they? If reality is multidimensional, then is existence beyond perception, beyond comprehension, beyond imagination? If brains collide, then is creation an accident, a cosmic event, a cycle of birth and destruction? Others propose the mathematical universe hypothesis by physicist Max Tegmark, which suggests that all mathematically consistent structures exist as physical realities. In this view, every possible universe that can be described by mathematics is real, existing as a separate world, a separate reality. In this view, the multiverse is not merely physical but logical, not merely spatial but conceptual. But if all mathematical realities exist, then is existence infinite, boundless, limitless? If every possibility is real, then is reality structured by logic, governed by mathematics, defined by consistency? If existence is mathematical, then is consciousness a computation, identity an equation, reality an abstraction? This question also touches on philosophy and metaphysics, which explore the nature of possibility and actuality. David Lewis proposed modal realism, the view that all possible worlds are as real as the actual world. In this view, possibility is actuality. In another world, potentiality is reality in another universe. If modal realism is true, then every possibility is real, every choice is made, every path is taken. But if all possibilities are real, then what is truth? If every version of events exists, then is reality relative, truth fragmented, existence plural? If all choices are made, then is free will a narrative, identity a multiplicity, being a plurality? And then there is the existential dimension. If the multiverse is real, then you are not singular but infinite, not unique but manifold, not one but many. Every decision, every action, every possibility is realized, lived, experienced. But if all paths are taken, then what is meaning? If every choice is made, then what is purpose? If every version of you exists, then who are you? In the end, you stand at the crossroads, choosing one path, living one life, experiencing one reality. The question echoing in your mind, do we live in a multiverse? And perhaps the answer is not in the equations, or the theories, or the bubbles, or the brains, but in the choices you live, the possibilities you realize, the existence you experience, in this universe, or perhaps, in all of them. A choice, a reality, a universe, a multiverse, forever branching, forever existing, forever possible. Is perception reality? Open your eyes and look around. The world appears vivid, solid, real. You see colors, shapes, objects. You hear sounds, feel textures, taste flavors, smell scents. But then a question arises, a question that shakes the foundations of existence. Is perception reality? Do you see the world as it truly is, or do you see a construction of the mind, an interpretation of the senses, an illusion shaped by consciousness? This question challenges our understanding of truth, existence, and awareness. It asks whether reality is objective or subjective, external or internal, discovered or created. It explores the boundaries of perception, the nature of consciousness, the essence of being. Philosophy of perception distinguishes between direct realism and indirect realism. Direct realism claims that perception is a direct experience of the world, that we see objects as they truly are, that reality exists independently of observation. In this view, perception is reliable, accurate, truthful. The tree you see is the tree that exists, the sound you hear is the sound that occurs, the color you perceive is the color of the object. But indirect realism argues that perception is mediated by the senses, that we do not experience objects themselves, but representations created by the mind. In this view, reality is not directly perceived but interpreted, constructed, simulated. John Locke described this as representational realism, where the mind creates a model of the world based on sensory input. But if perception is a model, then is it accurate? If reality is represented, then is it true? If experience is mediated, then is existence subjective? Phenomenology, the study of conscious experience, explores the nature of perception as intentional, relational, and interpretive. Edmund Husserl argued that perception is not merely passive observation, but active interpretation, that consciousness is always directed towards something, that reality is experienced through intentionality. In this view, perception is not merely seeing, but understanding, not merely sensing but interpreting. But if perception is interpretation, then is reality subjective? If consciousness shapes experience, then is truth relative? If observation is intentional, then is existence relational? If perception is understanding, then is knowledge personal, meaning contextual, reality perspectival? This question also touches on cognitive science and neuroscience, which reveal that perception is not a mirror of reality, but a construction of the brain. Sensory information is processed, filtered, organized and interpreted by neural networks. Color is not an inherent property, but a creation of the mind, an interpretation of wavelengths of light. Sound is not a vibration, but an experience of frequency and amplitude. Touch is not a property of objects but a sensation created by pressure and temperature receptors. But if perception is constructed by the brain, then is reality an illusion? If colors, sounds and textures are interpretations, then what is real? If experience is neural activity, then is existence mental? If consciousness creates perception, then is reality subjective, imaginary, dreamlike? The brain in a vat thought experiment challenges the certainty of perception, suggesting that experiences could be simulated, that consciousness could be deceived, that reality could be virtual. If the brain were connected to a computer, receiving artificial stimuli, then the perceived world would be indistinguishable from a simulated reality. Hilary Putnam used this scenario to question the nature of reference, meaning, and knowledge. But if perception can be simulated, then is reality merely experience? If consciousness can be deceived, then is truth unknowable? If existence can be virtual, then is being fictional? If the mind can be tricked, then is awareness unreliable, memory deceptive, knowledge illusionary? Idealism argues that reality is mental, that the physical world is an illusion, a construct of consciousness. George Berkeley claimed that to be is to be perceived, esse est percipi, that objects exist only as they are perceived, that reality is a mental experience. In this view, existence is perception, matter is thought, reality is a dream. But if reality is mental, then is existence subjective? If perception creates being, then is truth relative? If the mind constructs reality, then is existence fluid, changeable, ephemeral? If life is a dream, then who is the dreamer? Others explore simulation theory, the hypothesis that reality is a virtual simulation, a digital construction, a programmed illusion. Nick Bostrom argued that advanced civilizations could simulate entire universes, creating conscious beings who experience a simulated world. If we live in a simulation, then perception is not of reality, but of code, not of matter, but of information. But if reality is simulated, then who is the creator? If existence is virtual, then is consciousness artificial? If perception is programmed, then is free will an illusion? If life is digital, then is identity data, memory storage, selfhood information? And then there is the existential dimension. If perception is reality, then existence is subjective, truth relative, being personal. But if reality is objective, then perception is limited, experience partial, knowledge incomplete. Which is more terrifying? A world shaped by perception, fluid and uncertain, or a reality independent of consciousness, indifferent and fixed? An existence of subjective truths, or a being of objective facts? In the end, you look around, the world vivid, solid, real, the question echoing in your mind, is perception reality? And perhaps the answer is not in the objects or the senses, not in the neurons or the thoughts, but in the awareness that perceives, the consciousness that experiences, the mind that wonders, the reality that is. A perception, a reality, an experience, a question, forever observed, forever interpreted, forever perceived. Do we have a purpose, or do we create our own? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the waves crashing against the shore, the horizon stretching endlessly before you. The sun sets, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. In this moment, you feel small, fragile, a tiny spark in the vastness of existence. Do you have a purpose? Is there a reason you are here? Or do you create your own purpose, crafting meaning from the fabric of experience, weaving significance from the threads of choice? This question cuts to the heart of human existence, challenging our understanding of destiny, freedom, and meaning. It asks whether life is guided by a cosmic purpose, a divine plan, a grand design, or whether purpose is a human invention, a story we tell ourselves to find direction in an indifferent universe. Some seek purpose in religion and spirituality, believing that life's meaning is given by a higher power. In this view, purpose is not chosen but discovered, revealed through faith, scripture, and divine will. Christianity speaks of a God-given purpose, a path of righteousness, a destiny of salvation. Islam teaches submission to Allah's will, living according to divine guidance. Hinduism speaks of Dharma, a cosmic order, a moral duty that guides existence. Buddhism seeks purpose in liberation from suffering, the attainment of enlightenment. But if purpose is given, then is life merely a test, a journey toward an already determined end? If destiny is fixed, then are we truly free? If meaning is revealed, then is questioning forbidden? And if divine purpose exists, then why is it hidden, shrouded in mystery, debated by religions, interpreted by prophets? Others find purpose in humanism, in human potential, creativity, and love. In this view, purpose is not given by gods or destiny, but created through relationships, compassion, art, knowledge, and progress. It is found in love, in family, in community, in the betterment of humanity. It is a purpose shared, not imposed. But if purpose is created, then is it subjective, fluid, changing with time and culture? If we invent meaning, then can it be lost? If purpose is a human construct, then is it real, or merely an illusion, a narrative we tell ourselves to avoid the void? Existentialism takes this further, arguing that existence is absurd, that the universe is indifferent, that life has no inherent purpose. Jean-Paul Sartre declared that existence precedes essence, that we are born without purpose, without meaning, and must create our own. In this view, purpose is an act of freedom, a choice, a responsibility. We are condemned to be free, Sartre said, burdened by the necessity of creating purpose in a purposeless world. But this freedom is terrifying. If purpose is not given, then we face the abyss, the existential void, the possibility of meaninglessness. Albert Camus called this the absurd, the conflict between our desire for meaning and the universe's indifference. Yet he urged us to embrace this absurdity, to live defiantly, to rebel against meaninglessness by creating our own purpose. But how do we create purpose? Is it a conscious choice, an act of will, or is it shaped by experience, by memory, by desire? If purpose is self-created, then is it real, or merely a reflection of our needs and fears? Can we trust the meaning we create, or is it as fragile as a dream? Then there is the perspective of science and evolution. From a biological standpoint, purpose is survival and reproduction, the continuation of genes, the perpetuation of species. In this view, purpose is a product of evolution, a strategy for existence. But this raises another question. If purpose is biological, then is it meaningful? If life's purpose is merely survival, then is existence merely a cycle of birth and death, an endless repetition without deeper significance? Nihilism argues that there is no purpose, no meaning, no value. In this view, existence is a cosmic accident, a meaningless occurrence in an indifferent universe. Friedrich Nietzsche declared, God is dead, not as a denial of divinity, but as a rejection of absolute meaning. He urged us to create our own values, to find purpose not in gods or destiny, but in ourselves. This paradox challenges the nature of purpose and identity. If we create our purpose, then do we create ourselves? Is identity a choice, a narrative, a role we play, or is purpose discovered through self-awareness, through understanding who we are? The question also explores the boundaries of freedom and determinism. If purpose is self-created, then we are free, but this freedom is terrifying, for it makes us responsible for our own meaning. But if purpose is given, then we are guided, but this guidance is binding, for it limits our freedom to choose. And then, there is the existential dimension. If purpose is created, then it is fragile, temporary, mortal. It lives and dies with us. But if purpose is given, then it is eternal, unchanging, divine. It transcends existence. Which is more terrifying, a fleeting purpose we must create and lose, or an eternal purpose we must follow and fulfill? In the end, you stand at the edge of the ocean, the waves whispering to the shore, the sun setting on the horizon. Do you have a purpose, or do you create your own? Are you guided by destiny, or do you invent your path? You take a step, feeling the sand beneath your feet, the wind on your face, the question echoing in your mind. Do we have a purpose, or do we create our own? And perhaps, the answer is not in the gods, or the stars, or the genes, or the choices, but in the journey, in the experience, in the meaning we live, not the meaning we find. A purpose, a choice, a self, a journey, forever created, forever sought. What is reality made of? Close your eyes and imagine the world around you dissolving into its fundamental components. The solid objects, the colors, the sounds, all breaking down into smaller and smaller parts. What is reality made of? Is it composed of matter, of particles and atoms? Is it formed from energy, vibrating fields, waves of potentiality? Is it made of information, patterns of data, codes of existence? Or is reality an illusion, a dream woven by consciousness, a projection of the mind? This question challenges our understanding of existence, substance, and being. It asks what lies beneath appearances, what composes the cosmos, what constitutes reality. Classical physics views reality as composed of matter, of solid particles existing in space and time. In this view, objects are made of atoms, which are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. These particles have mass, charge, and location, interacting through forces governed by natural laws. Reality is solid, objective, measurable, independent of observation. But quantum mechanics shatters this view, revealing that particles are not solid objects, but probability waves, existing in superposition, occupying multiple states until observed. Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle shows that position and momentum cannot both be precisely known. Erwin Schrödinger's wave function describes particles as waves of potentiality, existing as probabilities, collapsing into definite states when measured. In this view, reality is not solid, but fluid, not objective, but participatory, not fixed but probabilistic. Quantum field theory takes this further, proposing that particles are not fundamental but excitations of underlying fields. In this view, reality is made of fields, vibrating, fluctuating, interacting fields that permeate space and time. Particles are merely ripples, waves, disturbances in these fields. The Higgs field gives mass to particles, the electromagnetic field transmits light. The gravitational field curves space-time. Reality is a symphony of vibrations, a dance of fields, an ocean of energy. But if reality is made of fields, then what are fields made of? If particles are waves, then what is waving? If matter is energy, then what is energy? If existence is vibration, then what is vibrating? If reality is made of fields, then is it continuous or discrete, fluid or granular, substance or relation? String theory suggests that the fundamental building blocks of reality are not particles but tiny vibrating strings, existing in higher dimensional space. In this view, all particles are different vibrations of the same string, all forces are interactions of strings, all existence is harmony, resonance, frequency. But if reality is made of strings, then where are the higher dimensions? If existence is vibration, then what vibrates? If reality is music, then who is the musician? Others propose digital physics, which suggests that reality is made of information, that the universe is a computation, a digital simulation, a code of existence. In this view, matter is data, particles are bits, forces are algorithms, space-time is a grid, consciousness is processing. John Wheeler called this it from bit, the idea that everything physical is information theoretic in origin. In this view, reality is a simulation, a virtual world, a cosmic program. But if reality is information, then who programmed the universe? If existence is computation, then who is the computer? If the cosmos is a simulation, then who is the simulator? If reality is digital, then what is real? If life is virtual, then is consciousness artificial, identity simulated, existence imaginary? Philosophy and metaphysics explore the nature of substance, questioning whether reality is physical, mental, or relational. Materialism argues that everything is matter, that consciousness arises from neural activity, that mind is an emergent property of brain. But idealism argues that everything is mind, that reality is mental, that the physical world is an illusion, a projection of consciousness. In this view, existence is perception, matter is thought, reality is a dream. But if reality is mental, then is the world merely a projection? If consciousness is fundamental, then is existence subjective? If perception shapes reality, then is truth relative, identity fluid, being ephemeral? If life is a dream, then who is the dreamer? Then there is the perspective of relational ontology, which suggests that reality is made of relations, not substances. In this view, existence is interaction, being is becoming, identity is process. Objects are not isolated entities, but nodes in a network of relations, events in a web of interactions, patterns in a field of connections. Reality is not composed of things but of processes, not of objects, but of relations. But if reality is relational, then what are relations made of? If existence is interaction, then what interacts? If identity is process, then who is the self? If reality is connection, then is individuality an illusion, separateness a lie, existence a dance? And then, there is the existential dimension. If reality is made of matter, then existence is objective, physical, measurable. But if reality is made of mind, then existence is subjective, mental, experiential. If reality is relational, then existence is dynamic, interactive, interconnected. Which is more terrifying? A world of solid objects, indifferent and external, or a universe of consciousness, fluid and ephemeral? A reality of relations, without substance, without self, without separation. In the end, you feel the world around you, the solidity, the shapes, the colors, the sensations, the question echoing in your mind. What is reality made of? And perhaps the answer is not in the particles, or the fields, or the strings, or the bits, but in the awareness that perceives, the consciousness that wanders the mind, that questions the reality that experiences itself. A substance, a perception, a relation, a question, forever observed, forever experienced, forever real. Is reality subjective or objective? Open your eyes and look around. The world appears vivid, solid, real. You see colors, shapes, objects. You hear sounds, feel textures, experience sensations. But then, a question arises, a question that shakes the foundations of existence. Is reality subjective or objective? Is the world you perceive truly out there, independent of your mind? Or is it a construct of consciousness, a projection of thought, a dream shared by waking minds? This question challenges our understanding of truth, existence, and perception. It asks whether reality is a fixed, objective world that exists regardless of observation, or a subjective experience shaped by consciousness, interpretation, and perspective. Objective reality is the view that the world exists independently of perception. In this view, reality is external, fixed, governed by natural laws, existing whether observed or not. The tree continues to stand, the river continues to flow, the stars continue to shine, regardless of human awareness. Objective reality is absolute, measurable, consistent. This perspective is championed by realism, the belief that physical objects exist outside the mind, that reality is external and independent. In this view, truth is objective, grounded in facts, discovered through observation and reason. Science is the tool to understand this reality, to uncover its laws, to measure its properties. But then, there is subjective reality, the view that reality is shaped by consciousness, perception, and interpretation. In this view, the world is not merely observed but experienced. The tree is green, not because of an objective property, but because your mind interprets wavelengths of light as color. The river flows not merely as a physical phenomenon, but as an experience of movement and sound. This perspective is championed by phenomenology, the study of conscious experience. Edmund Husserl argued that reality is experienced through intentionality, the directedness of consciousness toward objects. In this view, the world is not merely external, but perceived, interpreted, understood, through subjective awareness. Idealism takes this further, arguing that reality is mental, that the physical world is an illusion created by consciousness. George Berkeley claimed that to be is to be perceived, esse percipi, that objects exist only in the mind of the perceiver. In this view, reality is a projection of thought, a dream shared by many minds. But if reality is subjective, then is truth relative? If perception shapes existence, then is there any objective truth? If the world is a construct of consciousness, then what is real? Is there a world beyond perception, or is existence merely a play of thought, a dance of awareness? Then there is the perspective of quantum mechanics, the science of the subatomic world. Experiments such as the double-slit experiment reveal that particles exist as probabilities until observed, that observation influences outcome, that reality is shaped by measurement. Niels Bohr argued that objective reality does not exist at the quantum level, that particles are waves of potentiality until observed. This leads to the observer effect, the idea that observation creates reality. In this view, consciousness collapses probability waves into definite states, shaping existence itself. John Wheeler proposed the participatory anthropic principle, suggesting that the universe is not merely observed but created by observation. But this raises another question. If observation shapes reality, then what is consciousness? If the world exists because it is observed, then who is the observer? Is consciousness fundamental, the source of existence? Or is it an emergent property, a byproduct of neural activity? This paradox challenges the boundaries of mind and matter, questioning whether consciousness arises from physical processes, or whether matter is a construct of awareness. It echoes the ancient philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, which claims that consciousness is the only reality, that the world is Maya, an illusion. But if reality is subjective, then does anything truly exist? If the world is a dream, then are you merely a character in your own mind? If perception shapes existence, then is death the end of consciousness, or merely the end of a dream? Yet, we live as if reality is objective. We touch, we see, we measure, we build. We trust our senses, we believe in an external world. We live within a shared reality, governed by physical laws, independent of individual perception. But if reality is objective, then how do we explain differing perceptions? If the world is fixed, then why is beauty subjective? Why is pain personal? Why is meaning unique? This leads to the philosophy of perspectivism, proposed by Friedrich Nietzsche, which argues that truth is shaped by perspective, by context, by interpretation. In this view, reality is not merely objective or subjective, but a multiplicity of perspectives, a tapestry woven from individual experiences. And then, there is the existential dimension. If reality is subjective, then existence is a creation of consciousness, a narrative of the self. But if reality is objective, then existence is an event in a physical universe, governed by causality and law. If both are true, then reality is a paradox, a dance between mind and matter, between perception and existence. In the end, you look around, the world vivid, solid, real. Is it truly out there, or is it in your mind? Is reality objective or subjective? You feel the question echoing in your consciousness, bending the line between being and seeing, and perhaps the answer is not in the objects or the mind, not in perception or existence, but in the relationship between them, in the dance of awareness, in the experience of reality, a world, a mind, a question, a paradox, forever perceived, forever real. Can something come from nothing? Close your eyes and imagine nothing, not emptiness, not darkness, but the complete absence of everything. No space, no time, no matter, no energy, no laws, no forces, no existence, absolute non-being. But then a question arises, a question that defies comprehension, that bends the mind. Can something come from nothing? Can existence arise from non-existence? Can reality emerge from void? Or is the very idea of nothingness an illusion, a paradox, a contradiction? This question challenges the boundaries of thought, the foundations of existence, the essence of reality. It asks how being can emerge from non-being, how creation can arise from void, how something can come from nothing. Philosophers and metaphysicians have grappled with this question for centuries, debating the nature of existence, the possibility of non-existence, the origins of reality. Parmenides argued that nothingness is impossible, that non-being cannot exist, that only being is real. In his view, existence is eternal, uncreated, unchanging. If nothingness cannot exist, then something has always existed, and creation is merely transformation, change without beginning. But this raises another question. Why does anything exist at all? If existence is necessary, then why is there this particular universe, with these laws, with this structure? If being is eternal, then why does it take this form, this reality, this experience? If nothingness is impossible, then what is existence? If something cannot come from nothing, then where did everything come from? Aristotle proposed the concept of the unmoved mover, a necessary being that causes existence without being caused. In his view, the universe is a chain of cause and effect, stretching back to a first cause, an uncaused origin, a source of being. But this leads to another question. What caused the unmoved mover? If the first cause is necessary, then why is it necessary? If it is uncaused, then why does it exist at all? This question also touches on cosmology and physics, which explore the origins of the universe through observation and theory. According to the Big Bang theory, the universe began as a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature, expanding into the cosmos we observe today. But what caused the Big Bang? What existed before? Some physicists propose the concept of quantum fluctuations, suggesting that the universe emerged from a quantum vacuum, a state of potentiality governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. In this view, particles and energy can spontaneously appear and disappear, creating a universe from nothing. But is this truly nothing? A quantum vacuum is not an absence of existence. It is a sea of possibilities, governed by laws, structured by mathematics. It is something, not nothing. Others propose the idea of the multiverse, a vast collection of universes, each with different physical laws and constants, existing within a higher dimensional space. In this view, our universe is merely one of countless possibilities, a bubble in a cosmic ocean. But this raises another question. Why is there a multiverse? If existence is infinite, then why is it structured this way? If reality is multiversal, then why is there anything at all? Then there is the perspective of philosophical theology, which suggests that the universe was created by a divine being, an all-powerful creator who willed existence into being. In this view, something came from nothing, because of divine intention, because of purpose, because of creation. But this leads to the question, why does this creator exist? If God is necessary, then why is existence necessary? If the creator is contingent, then what caused the creator? If something cannot come from nothing, then how did God exist? Some philosophers argue that the question itself is flawed, that nothingness is not a state but a concept, an abstraction, an idea. In this view, nothing is merely the absence of something, a negation, a word without reference. Martin Heidegger called this the mystery of being, the inexplicability of existence, the enigma of reality. In this view, existence simply is, without reason, without cause, without explanation. But this answer feels unsatisfying. If existence simply is, then why is there this existence? If being is a brute fact, then why is there order, law, structure? If reality is inexplicable, then is meaning an illusion, purpose an invention, reason a limitation. Then there is the perspective of mathematics and logic, which explores the foundations of reality through abstract structures and formal systems. Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorems suggest that no system can fully explain itself, that truth cannot be contained within a single framework. In this view, existence is a paradox, a self-referential loop, a mystery beyond comprehension. This question also resonates with existentialism, which confronts the absurdity of existence, the conflict between the human desire for reason and the universe's silence. Albert Camus called this the absurd, the realization that life is without meaning, that existence is without cause, that reality is without purpose. Yet he urged us to rebel against meaninglessness, to live without answers, to create meaning in a purposeless world. And then, there is the existential dimension. If something cannot come from nothing, then existence is necessary, eternal, infinite. But if something did come from nothing, then reality is a miracle, a mystery, an impossibility, which is more terrifying, an eternal existence without explanation, or a creation from nothing without reason. In the end, you imagine nothing, the absence of everything, the void beyond existence, the question echoing in your mind, can something come from nothing? And perhaps, the answer is not in the equations, or the gods, or the vacuums, or the multiverses, but in the question itself, in the mystery of being, in the experience of existence, in the wonder of something that is, a nothing, a something, a question, a paradox, forever imagined, forever questioned, forever being. Why do we suffer? Close your eyes and feel the weight of existence. Pain, sorrow, fear, loss. They touch every life, leave marks on every heart, echo through every mind. Why do we suffer? Why is pain a part of life, woven into the fabric of existence, inseparable from joy and love? Is suffering a punishment, a lesson, a necessity, or merely a consequence of being conscious, of feeling, of living? This question challenges our understanding of life, meaning, and purpose. It asks why pain exists, why joy is fleeting, why loss is inevitable. It touches the deepest layers of the human experience, the most vulnerable aspects of being. Some seek answers in religion and spirituality, finding meaning in divine purpose, moral order, and spiritual growth. Christianity sees suffering as a consequence of sin, a test of faith, a path to redemption. It teaches that pain is not meaningless, that suffering has purpose, that salvation is born through sacrifice. Islam views suffering as a trial, a test of patience, a purification of the soul. Hinduism speaks of karma, the law of cause and effect, where suffering is the result of actions, a cycle of rebirth, a journey toward liberation. Buddhism identifies suffering as the essence of existence, the first noble truth, arising from desire, attachment and ignorance. It teaches that liberation from suffering is possible through detachment, wisdom and compassion. But if suffering has purpose, then why is it so uneven, so unjust, so cruel? Why do the innocent suffer? Why do the wicked prosper? Why is pain so random, so senseless? If suffering is a test, then why are some tested more than others? If pain is a lesson, then what are we meant to learn? If suffering leads to growth, then is joy a distraction, comfort a weakness, happiness a hindrance? Others seek answers in science and evolution, finding purpose in biology, survival, and adaptation. In this view, pain is a signal, a warning, a mechanism of protection. It exists to preserve life, to avoid danger, to learn from harm. Suffering is a byproduct of consciousness, an awareness of loss, a realization of impermanence. In this view, pain is not moral but functional, not spiritual but biological. But if suffering is biological, then is it meaningless? If pain is merely a neural response, then is it trivial, insignificant, purposeless? If consciousness creates suffering, then is awareness a curse, intelligence a burden, existence a tragedy? If pain is necessary for survival, then is life merely endurance, existence merely struggle, reality merely suffering? Existentialism confronts suffering with radical freedom, arguing that pain is an inherent part of existence, a consequence of awareness, a result of freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre claimed that existence precedes essence, that we are condemned to be free, burdened by choice, haunted by meaninglessness. In this view, suffering arises from the conflict between desire and reality, between meaning and absurdity, between being and nothingness. Friedrich Nietzsche embraced suffering as a path to greatness, declaring, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." He saw pain as necessary for growth, struggle as essential for achievement, suffering as the price of creation. In his view, existence is tragic, beauty is born of pain, meaning is created through suffering. But if suffering is necessary, then is happiness an illusion? If pain leads to growth, then is comfort stagnation, joy weakness, peace death? If struggle is essential, then is contentment defeat, satisfaction failure, fulfillment emptiness? If greatness is born of suffering, then is life a tragedy, existence a burden, consciousness a curse? Psychology explores suffering as a product of mind, thought, and perception. In this view, pain is real, but suffering is created by interpretation, attachment and resistance. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, suggests that suffering arises from distorted thinking, from negative beliefs, from cognitive biases. Mindfulness and acceptance teach that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, created by resistance, magnified by attachment. But if suffering is a creation of the mind, then is pain an illusion? If thoughts create suffering, then is consciousness a trap, awareness a burden, perception a curse? If freedom from suffering lies in acceptance, then is hope a delusion, desire a prison, love a weakness? This question also touches on moral philosophy, questioning whether suffering is justified, whether pain is deserved, whether suffering is evil. If suffering is unjust, then is existence cruel, reality malevolent, creation immoral. If pain is meaningless, then is life absurd, existence tragic, being pointless. And then, there is the existential dimension. If suffering is a lesson, then life is a school, pain a teacher, existence a test. But if suffering is meaningless, then life is absurd, pain random, existence indifferent. Which is more terrifying, a life of purposeful pain, or an existence of meaningless suffering? In the end, you feel the weight of existence, the pain, the sorrow, the fear, the loss, the question echoing in your mind. Why do we suffer? And perhaps, the answer is not in the gods, or the genes, or the neurons, or the philosophies, but in the way we live, in the love we give, in the meaning we create, in the courage we show, in the endurance we find, in the hope we hold, in the humanity we share, in the suffering we transform. A pain, a question, a meaning, a transformation, forever endured, forever questioned, forever human. Is time an illusion? Close your eyes and feel the flow of time. The present moment slipping into the past, the future rushing toward you, the relentless movement from then to now to tomorrow. But then, a question arises, a question that bends the mind, that twists perception. Is time an illusion? Is the past truly gone, the future truly unwritten, or is time a construct of consciousness, a creation of the mind, a story we tell to make sense of change? This question challenges our understanding of reality, existence, and memory. It asks whether time is an objective dimension, a physical property of the universe, or a subjective experience, an illusion shaped by awareness and perception. In everyday life, time feels real. We remember the past, experience the present, anticipate the future. We measure time with clocks, calendars, rhythms, cycles. We live within time, age within time, die within time. Yet, what is time? Is it a flowing river, carrying us forward, or is it a landscape, existing all at once, waiting to be observed? Isaac Newton described time as absolute, a fixed, unchanging background against which events occur. In his view, time flows uniformly, independent of perception, a constant rhythm of existence. Absolute time is objective, universal, a framework for reality. But in 1905, Albert Einstein shattered this view with his theory of relativity, revealing that time is not absolute but relative, intertwined with space, shaped by speed and gravity. According to special relativity, time slows down as objects approach the speed of light. According to general relativity, time bends in the presence of mass and energy, curving with the fabric of space. In this view, time is not a constant flow, but a dimension of space-time, a coordinate in a four-dimensional continuum. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously, like frames on a film reel, like pages in a book. The block universe theory suggests that time does not pass but is laid out in its entirety, a static landscape of events, eternally present. But if past, present, and future coexist, then is change an illusion. If time is a dimension, then is movement merely the unfolding of a fixed sequence. If the future is already there, then is free will an illusion, destiny predetermined, choice an artifact of perception. This leads to the question of temporal experience. If time is static, then why do we experience it as flowing? Why do we remember the past but not the future? Why do we feel the present, anticipate the future, reflect on the past? Is the flow of time a property of consciousness, a construction of memory, a function of awareness? Philosophers of time distinguish between the A theory and B theory of time. A theory claims that the present is real, that the past no longer exists, and the future is yet to come. In this view, time flows, events happen, existence unfolds. But B theory argues that all moments exist equally, that past, present, and future are illusions, that time is a static dimension, experienced subjectively. Then there is the question of causality and determinism. If time is an illusion, then what causes change? If past and future coexist, then are cause and effect illusions of sequence. If time is static, then are events predetermined, reality unchanging, existence fixed. This paradox resonates with quantum mechanics, where particles exist in superposition, occupying multiple states until observed. In quantum entanglement, particles influence each other instantaneously, defying classical time. The Wheeler-DeWitt equation in quantum gravity suggests that time does not exist at the fundamental level, that the universe is timeless, existing as a quantum state. But if time is an illusion, then what is memory? If past and future coexist, then is memory a glimpse of the block universe? If time does not flow, then what is consciousness? Is awareness a journey through space-time, an observer moving along the timeline? This question also touches on eternalism and presentism. Eternalism claims that all moments exist eternally, that the past and future are as real as the present. Presentism argues that only the present is real, that the past is gone, the future non-existent. But if the present is real, then what makes this moment special? If the past and future are illusions, then why do we remember one and anticipate the other? Then there is the perspective of phenomenology, which explores the experience of time. Martin Heidegger argued that time is not an objective sequence, but an existential structure, a horizon of possibility. In this view, time is not measured, but lived, not counted but experienced. But if time is subjective, then is reality fragmented, divided into individual timelines, personal flows, unique sequences. If perception shapes time, then is existence relative, consciousness isolated, reality a dream, and then there is the existential dimension. If time is an illusion, then what is change? If past and future coexist, then is death an end or merely a point on a timeline? If moments are fixed, then is life a story already written, a sequence already played, a path already walked? In the end you feel the flow of time, the present slipping into the past, the future approaching, the moment fading. Is time an illusion, or is it the most fundamental reality? Is existence static or dynamic? Is change real or perceived? You look at the clock, the hands moving steadily, the numbers changing rhythmically, the seconds ticking, and you feel the question echoing in your mind, bending the line between being and becoming. And perhaps the answer is not in the clock, or the cosmos, or the equations, or the experiences, but in the awareness of time, in the memory of moments, in the anticipation of possibilities, in the existence that unfolds, even if time does not. A moment, a memory, a movement, a question, forever asked, forever becoming, forever now. Does time have a beginning and an end? Close your eyes and imagine the flow of time, the present slipping into the past, the future rushing toward you, the moments unfolding one after another. But then, a question arises, a question that bends the mind. Does time have a beginning and an end? Did time start with the first moment, the first event, the first cause? Will time end in the last breath, the last star, the last thought? Or is time infinite, eternal, cyclical, without origin or conclusion? This question challenges our understanding of existence, causality, and change. It asks whether time is linear or cyclical, finite or infinite, created or uncreated. It explores the boundaries of past and future, the nature of now, the essence of becoming. Cosmology and physics explore the origins and fate of time through observation and theory. According to the Big Bang Theory, time began approximately 13.8 billion years ago, with the expansion of a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature. Before the Big Bang, there was no space, no matter, no energy, no time. Stephen Hawking described this as a boundary condition, where time becomes meaningless, where causality breaks down, where existence emerges from non-existence. But this raises another question: what caused the Big Bang? If time began with the Big Bang, then what existed before? If time has a beginning, then what is the origin of existence? If time is finite, then what is beyond time? If the universe has a starting point, then is creation an event, an emergence, an inception? Some propose the idea of cosmic inflation, which suggests that the universe underwent rapid expansion immediately after the Big Bang, smoothing out irregularities, creating the structure of space-time. In this view, time began with inflation, emerging from quantum fluctuations, governed by physical laws. But if time emerged from quantum potentiality, then is it an accident, a fluctuation, a probability? If time is an event, then what caused the event? If time began, then why did it begin? Others propose the concept of the multiverse, suggesting that our universe is merely one of many, each with its own timeline, its own beginning, its own end. In this view, time is not universal but contextual, not singular but plural. If there are infinite universes, then are there infinite beginnings, infinite endings, infinite timelines? If time is multiversal, then is existence bounded or boundless, finite or infinite? String theory suggests that time is a dimension, like space, existing within a higher dimensional reality. In this view, time is not a flow but a coordinate, not a sequence but a landscape. The past, present, and future coexist in a block universe, a static structure where time is laid out in its entirety, like frames on a film reel. In this view, time does not pass but simply is, existing as a dimension of space-time. But if time is a dimension, then is change an illusion. If past and future coexist, then is becoming an appearance, transformation, a perception, flow a narrative. If time is static, then is free will an illusion, choice predetermined, destiny fixed. General relativity reveals that time is not absolute but relative, shaped by gravity and velocity. In this view, time bends, warps curves, slowing down in strong gravitational fields, speeding up in the absence of mass. Black holes create singularities, where time ceases to exist, where past and future merge, where causality breaks down. If time can end in a black hole, then can it end in the universe? If space-time is curved, then is time cyclical, looping back on itself, repeating eternally. This leads to the concept of the cyclic universe, which suggests that time is not linear but cyclical, that the universe undergoes cycles of creation and destruction, expansion and contraction. In this view, the universe ends in a big crunch, collapsing into a singularity, only to be reborn in a new Big Bang. If time is cyclical, then has it always existed? If the universe is eternal, then is there no beginning, no end, only repetition, recurrence, cycles? Others propose the Big Freeze, where the universe expands forever, galaxies drift apart, stars burn out, matter decays, and temperature approaches absolute zero. In this view, time stretches into infinity, existence fades into darkness, reality ends in silence. But if time ends in a Big Freeze, then is existence finite? If the cosmos fades, then what remains? If time stretches into infinity, then is eternity empty, reality void, being meaningless? Then there is the philosophical perspective, which questions the nature of time itself. Augustine of Hippo asked what was God doing before he created the universe. He argued that time is not absolute but relational, existing only within creation, emerging from change dependent on existence. In this view, time is not an independent entity, but a measure of change, a relation between events, an experience of becoming. Immanuel Kant claimed that time is a category of human understanding, a framework imposed by the mind, a construct of consciousness. In this view, time is subjective, mental, experiential. If time is a construct, then is reality timeless. If becoming is an appearance, then is existence eternal. If temporality is an illusion, then is being beyond time. And then, there is the existential dimension. If time has a beginning and an end, then existence is finite, life temporary, being fragile. But if time is eternal, then existence is infinite, life cyclical, being endless. Which is more terrifying, a timeline with a starting point and a final moment, or an eternity without origin, without conclusion, without purpose? In the end you feel the flow of time, the present slipping into the past, the future approaching, the question echoing in your mind, does time have a beginning and an end? And perhaps the answer is not in in the singularities, or the dimensions, or the cycles, or the minds, but in the experience of time, in the memory of moments, in the anticipation of possibilities, in the existence that unfolds, in the being that becomes, a beginning, an end, a time, a question, forever flowing, forever becoming, forever timeless. Is truth relative or absolute? Imagine standing before a mirror, looking at your reflection. The image appears real, vivid, accurate, but it is reversed, a mirror image, a perspective that is both true and false. Is truth relative or absolute? Is there one reality, one truth, one objective reality that exists independent of perception? Or is truth shaped by perspective, context, culture, and consciousness? Is reality fixed and unchanging, or is it fluid and subjective, molded by interpretation and experience? This question challenges our understanding of knowledge, belief, and reality. It asks whether truth is universal or personal, absolute or relative, objective or subjective. It explores the boundaries of perception, the nature of understanding, the essence of reality. Objective truth is the view that reality exists independent of observation, that facts are facts regardless of belief, that truth is absolute, universal, and unchanging. In this view, truth corresponds to reality, reflecting the world as it is, not as it is perceived. Correspondence theory of truth, championed by philosophers like Aristotle and Bertrand Russell, argues that statements are true if they accurately describe objective reality. But this raises another question: how do we access objective reality? If perception is subjective, if knowledge is limited, if experience is personal, then how can we know the world as it truly is? If truth is objective, then is knowledge an approximation, a model, a representation? If reality is independent of observation, then can we ever truly know it? Science and empiricism seek objective truth through observation, experimentation, and reason. In this view, truth is discovered through evidence, verified through testing, validated through consistency. Scientific truth is objective, grounded in facts, supported by data. But science is not static. Theories evolve, paradigms shift, knowledge grows. If scientific truth changes, then is it truly absolute? If facts are revised, then is reality fluid, truth temporary, knowledge provisional? Then there is relative truth, the view that truth is shaped by perspective, context, and interpretation. In this view, reality is experienced, not observed. Truth is constructed, not discovered. Postmodernism, influenced by thinkers like Michel Foucault and Jean-François Lyotard, argues that truth is a social construct, shaped by power, language, culture, and history. In this view, there are no grand narratives, no universal truths, only interpretations, perspectives, stories. But if truth is relative, then is anything truly real? If perception shapes reality, then is truth subjective, fragmented, individual? If all perspectives are equally valid, then is there no falsity, no error, no contradiction? If truth is relative, then is knowledge mere opinion, belief mere bias, understanding mere narrative? This leads to the paradox of relativism. If all truths are relative, then is the statement, all truths are relative, also relative? If relativism is true, then is it only true for some people, in some contexts, under some conditions? If truth is relative, then is relativism itself a perspective, an interpretation, a narrative? Others propose pragmatism, championed by William James and John Dewey, which suggests that truth is not absolute or relative, but useful. In this view, truth is what works, what solves problems, what guides action. It is validated through consequences, tested through experience, verified through application. In this view, truth is practical, functional, effective. But if truth is usefulness, then is reality merely instrumental? If truth is what works, then is it pragmatic, or opportunistic, practical, or convenient. If knowledge is utility, then is meaning subjective, purpose arbitrary, value functional. Perspectivism, proposed by Friedrich Nietzsche, argues that all knowledge is from a perspective, shaped by context, influenced by interpretation. In this view, there is no objective truth, only perspectives, viewpoints, interpretations. But perspectives are not equal. Some are deeper, broader, richer, more coherent. In this view, truth is plural, layered, perspectival. But if all truths are perspectival, then is reality fragmented, divided into viewpoints, shattered into narratives. If existence is interpreted, then is truth poetic, artistic, symbolic. If knowledge is perspectival, then is understanding plural, identity fluid, meaning multiple. This question also touches on phenomenology, which explores the nature of experience, perception, and consciousness. Edmund Husserl argued that reality is experienced through intentionality, through the directedness of consciousness toward objects. In this view, truth is not merely objective or relative, but lived, embodied, experienced. It is not merely observed but interpreted, not merely discovered but constituted. But if truth is experienced, then is reality subjective. If perception shapes existence, then is consciousness the creator of meaning, the constructor of truth. If knowledge is intentional, then is understanding relational, interpretation personal, reality participatory. And then, there is the existential dimension. If truth is absolute, then reality is fixed, universal, unchanging. But if truth is relative, then reality is fluid, subjective, multiple. Which is more terrifying, a singular truth that binds us all, or a plurality of truths that divides us? An absolute reality that limits freedom, or a relative existence that dissolves meaning? In the end, you stand before the mirror, seeing your reflection, the image both true and false, the question echoing in your mind, is truth relative or absolute? And perhaps, the answer is not in the facts, or the perspectives, or the correspondences, or the narratives, but in the experience of reality, in the interpretation of existence, in the understanding that seeks truth. A reality, a perception, a truth, a question, forever sought, forever interpreted, forever reflected. Does the universe have a purpose? Look up at the night sky. A vast expanse of stars, swirling galaxies, cosmic voids stretching beyond imagination. In this vastness, on a small blue planet, you find yourself conscious, aware, questioning. Does the universe have a purpose? Is there a reason for its existence, a meaning behind its creation, or is it merely a cosmic accident, a product of randomness, an indifferent expanse without intention or design? This question touches the core of human curiosity, challenging our understanding of existence, creation, and meaning. It asks whether the cosmos is a grand design, guided by purpose, infused with meaning, or a purposeless occurrence, a happenstance of physics, a meaningless void. Some seek purpose in religion and theology, finding meaning in a divine creator, an intelligent designer, a cosmic architect. In this view, the universe is not random but intentional, crafted by a higher power with purpose and direction. Christianity speaks of a God who created the universe for love and relationship, a cosmos designed for life, a world with moral purpose. Islam sees the universe as a sign of Allah's majesty, a creation guided by divine wisdom and justice. Hinduism envisions a cosmos guided by Dharma, a cosmic order, a cycle of creation, preservation and destruction. But if the universe has a purpose, then why is it so vast, so cold, so empty? Why does suffering exist? Why does chaos occur? Why is existence filled with uncertainty? If purpose is divine, then why is it hidden, shrouded in mystery, debated by prophets, interpreted by philosophers? If creation is intentional, then what is the purpose of suffering, of death, of cosmic destruction? Others find purpose in teleology, the idea that the universe is goal-directed, that existence moves toward a purpose, a fulfillment, an end. In this view, purpose is not merely given but realized, unfolding through time, evolving through history. Aristotle argued that all things have a purpose, an end, telos, a goal toward which they strive. The universe in this view is a process of becoming, a journey toward perfection, a narrative of meaning. But if the universe is goal-directed, then what is the end? What is the purpose of cosmic evolution, of life, of consciousness? If existence moves toward fulfillment, then is meaning in the future, not the present. If purpose is realized, then is it yet to come, unfolding with time, hidden in destiny. Then, there is the perspective of science and cosmology, which seeks to explain the universe through natural laws, physical forces, mathematical equations. In this view, the universe is not designed but emerged, not crafted but evolved. The Big Bang Theory describes a universe that began as a singularity, expanding into the cosmos we observe today. Cosmic inflation explains the uniformity. Dark matter holds galaxies together. Dark energy drives cosmic acceleration. But if the universe is governed by natural laws, then who wrote the laws? If existence is the result of physical forces, then where did the forces come from? If the cosmos emerged from a singularity, then what caused the singularity? If purpose is absent, then why does the universe exist at all? Why is there something rather than nothing? Some propose the anthropic principle, which suggests that the universe appears purposeful because we exist to observe it. If the cosmos were different, if the physical constants were altered, then life would not exist, and no conscious beings would ask the question. In this view, purpose is a reflection of consciousness, a product of observation, an artifact of existence. But this feels circular. If the universe is fine-tuned for life, then why is life so rare, so fragile, so temporary? If existence is necessary for observation, then is purpose merely an illusion, a side effect of awareness? If meaning is subjective, then is the cosmos indifferent, existence accidental, reality meaningless? Others turn to existentialism, which argues that the universe has no inherent purpose, that existence is absurd, that meaning is not found but created. Jean-Paul Sartre claimed that the universe is indifferent, that purpose is not given but invented, that meaning is an act of will, a choice, a creation of the self. Albert Camus spoke of the absurd, the conflict between humanity's search for meaning and the universe's silence. But if the universe is purposeless, then is life meaningless. If existence is indifferent, then is purpose an illusion, a comfort, a lie. If meaning is created, then is it fragile, temporary, mortal. If the cosmos is absurd, then is life a rebellion, an act of defiance against meaninglessness. This paradox challenges the boundaries of purpose and existence, questioning whether meaning is discovered or invented, whether reality is guided or random, whether life is intentional or accidental. It explores the relationship between cosmos and consciousness, between existence and observation, between creation and interpretation. And then, there is the existential dimension. If the universe has a purpose, then life is part of that purpose, a narrative of meaning, a journey toward fulfillment. But if the cosmos is indifferent, then purpose is a human creation, a story we tell to make sense of chaos, a dream shared by waking minds. Which is more terrifying? A universe with purpose but no freedom, or a universe with freedom but no purpose? In the end, you look up at the night sky, the stars shining in the darkness, the galaxies swirling in the void, the question echoing in your mind, does the universe have a purpose? And perhaps, the answer is not in the stars, or the gods, or the equations, or the laws, but in the meaning we create, in the purpose we live, in the stories we tell, about the cosmos and about ourselves. A universe, a question, a purpose, a possibility, forever expanding, forever becoming, or perhaps, just being. What happens after death? Close your eyes, and imagine the end. Not sleep, not darkness, but the moment when life fades, when breath ceases, when consciousness dissolves. What lies beyond? What happens after death? Is there another world, another life, another journey? Or is death the end, the cessation of existence, the void from which no thought returns? This question haunts the human mind, a mystery as ancient as life itself. It echoes through the ages, whispered by philosophers, priests, poets, and seekers. It shapes our fears, our hopes, our beliefs, our actions. It is the question that shadows every moment of existence, the enigma that waits at the end of every path. Some find comfort in religion, in the promise of an afterlife, in the hope of immortality. Christianity speaks of heaven and hell, of eternal reward or punishment, of resurrection and salvation. Islam promises Jannah, a paradise of peace, and Jahannam, a place of judgment. Hinduism teaches samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, guided by karma. Buddhism seeks liberation from this cycle, the attainment of nirvana, a state beyond desire and suffering. But if there is an afterlife, then where is it? Is it a place, a realm, a state of consciousness? If souls exist, then what are they? Are they spirits, energies, patterns of information? And if souls persist, then what happens to identity, to memory, to self? Do we continue as ourselves, or do we dissolve into something greater, something incomprehensible? Others look to science and materialism, finding no evidence for an afterlife, no proof of spirits or souls. In this view, consciousness is a product of the brain, a phenomenon emerging from neural activity. When the brain ceases to function, consciousness ends, identity fades, existence ceases. Death is the end, the finality of being, the dissolution into non-existence. But this raises another question. If consciousness ends, then what is it like to be dead? Is it nothingness, a void, a state of non-being? But non-existence cannot be experienced, for there is no consciousness to perceive it. In this view, death is not an experience but the absence of experience. It is not darkness, but the end of awareness. Yet, we fear death, we resist it, we grieve it, we deny it. We live as if death is not the end, as if life continues, as if existence is more than the body, more than the brain. We tell stories of ghosts, of spirits, of ancestors watching over us. We build monuments, write legacies, create art, and bear children, seeking immortality through memory, through influence, through continuity. This paradox challenges the boundaries of life and death, questioning whether existence is a line or a cycle, a state or a process. If life ends in death, then what is birth? If consciousness begins, then can it end? If existence is temporary, then what is eternity? Some find meaning in reincarnation, the belief that the soul is reborn in new forms, that life continues in cycles, that death is merely a transition. In this view, identity is fluid, changing with each incarnation, shaped by karma, guided by destiny. But if identity changes, then is it truly the same soul? If memory is lost, then is reincarnation continuity, or rebirth? Others explore near-death experiences, NDEs, reports of tunnels of light, out-of-body visions, encounters with loved ones. Some see these as glimpses of the afterlife, evidence of consciousness beyond the brain. But skeptics argue that NDEs are hallucinations, the result of oxygen deprivation, chemical reactions, neural misfiring. This question also touches on quantum mechanics and consciousness. Some physicists propose that consciousness is not merely a product of the brain, but a fundamental property of the universe, woven into the fabric of reality. In this view, death is not the end but a transition to another state of consciousness, another dimension of existence. But this idea is speculative, unproven, a hypothesis at the edge of science and philosophy. Then there is the perspective of existentialism, which rejects the afterlife, embracing mortality as the essence of life. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that death gives life meaning, that existence is finite, that purpose is created through choice and action. In this view, death is the end, but it is also the horizon that shapes life, the boundary that gives existence urgency. But if death is the end, then is life merely a moment between two voids? Is existence a brief spark in an indifferent cosmos, a flicker of awareness lost to eternity? If consciousness ends, then does meaning end with it? If death is final, then is life a tragedy, a fleeting dream, a story with no sequel? And yet, we live, we love, we hope, we believe, we seek meaning, purpose, connection. We face death with courage, with faith, with curiosity. We wonder, we dream, we question, what happens after death? In the end, the question remains, unanswered, unresolved. Perhaps death is the end, the cessation of being. Perhaps it is a transition, a journey, an awakening. Perhaps it is a mystery, a secret kept by the stars, a whisper beyond the veil of existence. Or perhaps the answer is not in the heavens, or the spirits, or the atoms, or the neurons, but in the life we live, in the moments we share, in the love we give. Perhaps the meaning of death is found in the meaning of life, in the legacy we leave, in the memories we create, in the impact we make. A life, a death, a question, a mystery, forever feared, forever faced, forever unknown. What is the self? Close your eyes and turn your awareness inward. Who are you? Not your name, not your job, not your possessions, but you, the thinker of thoughts, the feeler of emotions, the experiencer of existence. What is the self? Is it an unchanging essence, a soul, a consciousness that persists through time? Or is it an illusion, a construct of memory, a narrative woven by the mind, a story told by a storyteller that doesn't exist? This question challenges our understanding of identity, consciousness, and existence. It asks whether the self is real or illusory, permanent or changing, singular or fragmented. It questions the very nature of being, the essence of personhood, the meaning of existence. In everyday life, the self feels solid, continuous, real. We say, I am, I think, I feel, as if there is a constant, unchanging observer behind the thoughts, behind the emotions, behind the experiences. We remember the past, imagine the future, exist in the present, feeling as if the same self lives through all these moments. Yet, what is this self that persists? Is it truly continuous, or is it recreated in every moment, a flickering awareness, a succession of experiences? Western philosophy often views the self as a conscious subject, a thinking mind, an agent of action. René Descartes famously declared, cogito, ergo sum, I think therefore I am. In this view, the self is the thinking substance, the conscious observer, the experiencer of reality. It is the soul, the essence, the unchanging identity that persists through time. But David Hume challenged this view, arguing that the self is an illusion. He claimed that when he looked within, he found no unchanging self, only a bundle of perceptions, a flow of experiences, a stream of thoughts and sensations. In this view, the self is not a substance but a process, not an entity but an event. It is a narrative, a pattern, a collection of memories held together by habit and continuity. This resonates with Buddhism, which teaches the doctrine of anatta, the denial of a permanent self. In this view, the self is an illusion created by desire and ignorance, a construct of attachment and identification. The Buddha taught that existence is composed of 5 aggregates: form, sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, none of which are the self. The illusion of self arises from the clinging to these aggregates, from the identification with impermanent experiences. But if the self is an illusion, then who is the experiencer? If identity is a narrative, then who is the narrator? If consciousness is a process, then who is aware of the process? If there is no self, then who feels pain, who loves, who dreams, who dies? This paradox challenges the nature of consciousness and identity, questioning whether the self is an observer or a story, an experiencer or an experience. It explores the boundaries of personal identity, asking whether the self is continuous or fragmented, singular or multiple, real or imagined. Modern neuroscience reveals that the brain is not a unified entity, but a network of modules, each processing different aspects of experience. The right and left hemispheres interpret the world in different ways, sometimes even conflicting with each other. Split brain experiments reveal that the sense of self can be divided, creating 2 separate streams of consciousness within the same body. In this view, the self is not singular but plural, not unified but fragmented. But if identity is a network, then is the self merely a pattern of neural activity? If consciousness is a function of the brain, then is the self an emergent property, a product of complexity, a byproduct of evolution? If the mind is the brain, then is the self merely matter, an illusion created by neurons, a trick played by biology? Others explore narrative identity, the idea that the self is a story we tell ourselves, a narrative woven from memory, experience and desire. Paul Ricoeur argued that identity is not fixed but fluid, constructed through narrative, shaped by interpretation, created through storytelling. In this view, the self is a character in a personal myth, a protagonist in a subjective narrative, a story always in progress. But if the self is a story, then is it real? If identity is narrative, then is it fiction? If the self is created, then is it an invention, an illusion, a dream? If the mind is a storyteller, then who is the audience? If life is a story, then who is the author? Then there is the perspective of transpersonal psychology, which explores the dissolution of the self in mystical experiences, meditation, and altered states of consciousness. In this view, the self is a boundary, a limitation, a construct that can be transcended. Eastern philosophy speaks of the Atman, merging with the Brahman, the individual self, realizing its unity with the cosmic self. Mysticism speaks of ego death, the dissolution of identity, the experience of oneness, the realization of non-duality. But if the self is transcended, then what remains? If identity is dissolved, then who is the experiencer? If the boundary between self and world is erased, then what is existence? If consciousness is universal, then what is individuality? If the self is an illusion, then who asks the question? In the end, you turn your awareness inward, searching for the self, feeling the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, the experience of being, the illusion of identity, the question echoing in your mind, what is the self? And perhaps, the answer is not in the mind, or the body, or the memories, or the neurons, but in the awareness itself, in the experience of being, in the consciousness that asks, in the self that seeks itself. A self, an identity, an experiencer, an illusion, forever questioned, forever perceived, forever becoming, or perhaps never existing at all. Why is there something rather than nothing? Close your eyes and imagine nothing, not darkness, not emptiness, but the complete absence of everything. No space, no time, no matter, no energy, a void beyond comprehension, a state of absolute non-existence. But this is not the reality we know. Instead, we find ourselves in a universe brimming with stars and galaxies, light and life, consciousness and curiosity. But why? Why is there something rather than nothing? This question is perhaps the most profound of all philosophical inquiries. It challenges our understanding of existence, of being itself. Why does anything exist at all? Why is there a universe with laws and constants, with matter and energy, with life and thought? Why not nothing? Philosophers and scientists have grappled with this question for centuries, offering theories and speculations, but no definitive answer. It is a question that defies logic, that bends the mind, that touches the edge of human understanding. One perspective comes from metaphysics, the branch of philosophy that explores the nature of reality. Some metaphysicians argue that existence is necessary, that something must exist because nothingness is impossible. They claim that non-existence is an incoherent concept, that being is fundamental and inescapable. But this raises another question: why this something? Why this universe, with these laws, with this structure? If existence is necessary, then why does it take this particular form? Why not a different universe with different constants, different dimensions, different realities? Then there is the perspective of cosmology, the scientific study of the universe's origin and structure. According to the Big Bang theory, the universe began as a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature, expanding into the cosmos we observe today. But what caused the Big Bang? Why did it happen? What existed before? Some scientists propose the concept of quantum fluctuations, suggesting that the universe emerged from a vacuum state governed by quantum mechanics. In this view, particles and energy can spontaneously appear and disappear, creating a universe from nothing. But is this truly nothing? A quantum vacuum is not an absence of existence. It is a sea of potentiality governed by physical laws. It is something, not nothing. Others propose the idea of the multiverse, a vast collection of universes with different laws and constants, each existing within a higher dimensional space. In this view, our universe is just one of many, a bubble in a cosmic ocean. But this leads to a deeper question. Why is there a multiverse? Why is there a higher dimensional space? Why is there anything? The question also touches on philosophical theology, which explores the existence of a higher power. Some argue that the universe exists because it was created by a divine being, an all-powerful creator who willed existence into being. But this raises the question, why does this creator exist? Why is there a God rather than nothing? If the creator is necessary, then why is existence necessary? And if the creator is contingent, then what caused the creator? Then there is the anthropic principle, which suggests that the universe exists in this form because we are here to observe it. If the universe were different, we would not be here to ask the question. In this view, existence is tied to consciousness, to observation, to perception. But this feels like a circular answer. Why is there a universe capable of consciousness? Why is there a reality that can be observed? Some philosophers argue that the question itself is flawed, that it is a human construct born from our need for causality and explanation. They claim that existence simply is, that there is no reason, no cause, no purpose. But this answer feels unsatisfying, leaving the mystery unresolved. The question, why is there something rather than nothing, challenges the boundaries of thought, the limits of reason, the edges of existence. It reveals the fragility of knowledge, the mystery of being, the enigma of reality. And then, there is the existential dimension. If existence is necessary, then our lives are part of that necessity. But if existence is contingent, then our lives are fragile, fleeting, improbable. If there were nothing, there would be no pain, no suffering, no fear. But there would also be no love, no joy, no wonder. To exist is to feel, to think, to question, to dream. In the end, the question remains, echoing through the cosmos, reverberating through the mind. Why is there something rather than nothing? Perhaps the answer is not in the stars, or the atoms, or the equations, or the gods, but in the question itself, in the mystery of being, in the experience of existence. A question, a universe, a reality, a paradox, forever asked, forever unanswered.